The medical wing of the stellar horizon rang with agonized cries that cut through bulkheads and nerves alike. Every crew member within range felt the sound settle deep in their bones. Anna of the Valyrian Collective lay restrained on the examination platform, her luminous sapphire skin slick with perspiration as pain racked her slender frame. Crystalline filaments woven through her hair pulsed chaotically, throwing fractured light across the room. Valyrians were famous across the known galaxy for their telepathic sensitivity and emotional awareness, but those very gifts had become her undoing. Dr. Yuki Tanaka hovered beside the bioscanner, hands clenched in helpless frustration. "Nothing is responding," she muttered, eyes darting across diagnostic readouts that made no sense. "Her neural activity is spiking like a supernova. It's as if her entire nervous system is burning, but there's no physical trauma." Commander Stewart stood rigid in the doorway, jaw tight as Anna's screams grew sharper, then fractured into gasping pleas in her native tongue. The translation matrix struggled, offering only fragments, too loud, too many voices, the void is gone. Only 3 hours earlier, the stellar horizon had docked at Junction Station Alpha, a sprawling interspecies hub packed with traders, diplomats, and emissaries from dozens of civilizations. Anna had been finalizing a critical peace accord between the Valyrian Collective and the Andorian Empire when she faltered mid-sentence and collapsed. What began as visible discomfort had spiraled rapidly into catastrophic neurological overload. In a corridor just beyond the medical bay, Junior Engineer Alexander Chun froze as the first scream echoed through the metal walls. He had no authorization to be near emergency zones during active protocols, but something pulled at him, an unfamiliar pressure behind his sternum, like gravity tightening its grip. Against his better judgment, he drifted closer to the transparent aluminum viewport. Inside, he saw Anna convulsing in agony, her movements growing weaker with each breath. The sound of her suffering struck him harder than any physical blow. Alexander had always been sensitive to pain in others, it was why he once dreamed of becoming a physician, but this was different. This felt personal, urgent, as if some unseen thread bound him to the alien diplomat. A security officer barked at him to step away. Alexander nodded absently but didn't move. His eyes remained locked on the woman fading before him, unaware that in that moment, everything was about to change. The alarms didn't register at first. Alexander barely noticed the sharp warning tone as he pushed past the startled security officer and crossed into the restricted medical zone. Commander Stewart turned, already mid-rebuke, but the words never left his mouth. Alexander moved with quiet certainty, stopping beside the examination table as if guided by instinct rather than thought. Anna's screams peaked, then vanished. The moment Alexander's hand made contact with her forehead, the transformation was immediate. Her body slackened against the restraints, muscles releasing as though a switch had been thrown. The wild flickering of crystalline light in her hair settled into a soft, steady glow. Bioscanner alarms died down, their angry red warnings dissolving into stable greens and blues. Silence filled the room. Dr. Tanaka stared, mouth open, the neural stabilizer forgotten in her grasp. Commander Stewart exhaled slowly, eyes flicking between the monitors and the human engineer standing at the epicenter of the impossible. Alexander felt warmth flow through his palm, not outward like energy, but inward, an anchoring presence. He didn't understand what he was doing, only that letting go felt wrong on a fundamental level. Anna's eyes opened, clarity returning like dawn breaking through fog. She focused on Alexander, studying him with wonder rather than fear. When she spoke, her voice was calm, steady, and finally intelligible. "The noise is gone," she said softly. "You brought silence." Alexander swallowed. "I don't understand," he admitted, his hand still resting against her skin. Valyrian eyes shimmered as she explained. "My people are telepathic. We perceive thoughts, emotions, psychic impressions constantly. Normally, our neural architecture filters the flow. But Junction Station," she paused, drawing a careful breath. "Thousands of minds. Dozens of species. All broadcasting at once. When I arrived, the barriers failed. Every fear, every impulse, every thought crashed into me at the same time. I was drowning. Dr. Tanaka stepped closer, scanner active. But how is he stopping it? Anna smiled faintly. Humans are different. You evolved without psychic output. To telepathic species, your minds are quiet. Not empty, safe. Like stepping into a silent room during a storm. Understanding clicked into place. Alexander wasn't healing her. He was shielding her. Alexander maintained contact as Anna's vitals stabilized at an impossible rate. The chaos within her neural pathways eased, rebuilding filters that had been torn apart by overwhelming psychic input. For the first time since docking, her mind could breathe. How long? Alexander asked, already thinking like an engineer faced with an unexpected system failure. Minutes, Anna replied. The worst has passed. You gave me space, time, to recover. Commander Stewart folded his arms, expression shifting from disbelief to measured respect. Mr. Chun, he said quietly, you may have just redefined first contact protocol. The realization settled heavily over the room. In a galaxy obsessed with advanced technology, psychic mastery, and exotic power, it was humanity's lack of something, telepathy, that had saved a life. Alexander remained at her side long after the crisis passed. He didn't speak much. He didn't need to. His presence alone created a pocket of stillness amid the station's constant mental roar. Anna later described it as standing at the eye of a storm, aware of the chaos, but untouched by it. 2 hours later, she was cleared for release. As she sat upright, strength returned to her posture, and her crystalline hair pulsed with healthy rhythm. She reached for Alexander's hand, clasping it in the Valyrian gesture of profound respect. In a universe that never stopped screaming, she said, you showed me the power of silence. Alexander smiled, unsure how to respond. Sometimes, he said simply, being there is enough. Dr. Tanaka documented the incident for Medical Command, already anticipating how this revelation would reshape interspecies cooperation. Humans, once considered biologically unremarkable, had become something else entirely, living sanctuaries for minds overwhelmed by the galaxy. As Anna departed to resume negotiations, the stellar horizon carried with it more than diplomatic success. It carried a new understanding, that humanity's greatest strength wasn't brute force or technology, but presence. Word spread quickly through Junction Station Alpha. Not as rumor or exaggeration, but as verified medical data, confirmed by scanners and witnesses alike. Humanity, psychically null, emotionally grounded, biologically ordinary, had proven uniquely invaluable in a galaxy dominated by mental noise. For telepathic species, humans weren't weak. They were anchors. Anna later addressed the Galactic Assembly, describing her experience in measured terms. She spoke of pain without drama, of recovery without spectacle, and of a human engineer who saved her life by doing nothing more than existing beside her. The revelation shifted policy overnight. Stations began redesigning diplomatic protocols. Humans were requested, not as guards or soldiers, but as stabilizers, companions, and mediators. Alexander Chun returned to his engineering duties, uncomfortable with the attention but quietly proud. He never asked for recognition. He understood now that his value lay not in power, but in presence. In the vast, echoing cosmos, humanity had found its place, not as conquerors or mystics, but as the calm between thoughts. And sometimes, that was the most powerful force of all.